$10 non-member cover charge. Private teen clubs. Look at some of the words. Private, exclusive. They even put the certain ages on there. Under 18. Some of them say under 16. You can see the logo here, the connection to New York Seltzer. All right. And you can see the times that it's open till. Kind of reminds you a little bit of what? Well, Comet Ping Pong, right? Open exclusively, children of all ages, till 1 o'clock in the morning. And you would think this right here would be a red flag. But you know who's responsible? The parents are responsible. The parents who allow their kids to go to these clubs unsupervised. You know, they get in there and they go, oh, well, you know, the Alfie's going to take care of everything. And some Hollywood directors like maybe Steven Spielberg will drop in. So you don't have anything to worry about. They're big, powerful Hollywood people. Nobody would molest or do anything to your children. And these kids kept going back. Haim said he went every week for 4 years. And this is what Feldman's referring to when he says, look up the soda pop clubs, because this was the place where these children would go and the predators would come there and prey on them. So it's Alfie's Soda Pop Club. I wanted to do a video on it just to get out there. It's no longer in business, but you can see this guy shamelessly putting all of these pictures up of himself, of the club from 86 to 89. So why is this so hard for Corey Feldman if what he really wants to do is help protect, you know, people out in Hollywood? And who knows what this guy Alfie Hoffman's doing now, right? He probably has some type of casting agency, you know? These predators don't stop. They continue going on. So the point I was making the first time with the Feldman video is that, listen, he's probably himself involved. And I know it's hard for people to grasp, but you could do the right thing. You could come out and give the names, or you could just, you know, tell people you need $10 million to make some stupid movie that, you know, nobody needs to see, that'll just mimic what we've seen on after-school specials. You know, you want to stop the abuse from happening today, then give names out of people, but that's not going to happen. You want to stop abuse from happening? Expose the underground occult. Expose the secret societies, expose the Talmud, expose all this stuff that they follow and believe. Then the truth gets out there. But until then, it's just another runaround. We've heard this for years. Feldman's been talking about this for years. Okay, even in his own book, he wrote an autobiography and promised to give names in the book, and he didn't give names in the book. So I'm not buying what he's attempting to do. But I'm not questioning the fact that he was molested or any of that stuff. I'm questioning his agenda here, because it's clearly just fitting into this Hollywood harassment storyline where we need to clean up Hollywood. You know, that's what they're pushing. Oh, all these men in Hollywood are harassing people and pedophiles and all this stuff. It's all part of their distraction game that they're playing right now. So this is Alfie's Soda Pop Club. You can see a lot of these young 80s stars attending this place. Children's membership fees. It's disgusting. Absolutely sickening. Membership fees for these kids so that, you know, Hollywood producers and who knows who else would show up there and probably put stuff in their sodas, and who knows, you know? Well, we know. I mean, we know what was going on. And even Corey Haim talked about going to Alfie's house. He had multiple bedrooms, and they would lure him over there and say, you can come play with my animal, like his tigers. He had tigers, this weird stuff like Michael Jackson. You know, it's just very strange behavior that a lot of these people have, a lot of these kids end up having, because they go through this. They're abused their entire lives. So I wanted to just get this out there about this Soda Pop Club. It's no longer in business, but it's something to know of. These are the types of fronts that they use, right? Soda Pop Club. What's it geared towards? Kids, right? And Haim talked about how they would serve them liquor, not tell anybody, even though they said it was just a Soda Pop Club for exclusive members. Because that's how they work. They use these places as fronts. It sounds like a good, clean time. And unfortunately, that's not what's going on. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.
All that we have to go through, I know it's a game, I know it's basketball, but all the sacrifice and
this is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. I wanted to talk a little bit about how they use words and flip the meaning of the word so it becomes a regular word in your day-to-day life. That sentence should make sense. I could repeat it and make it sound a little bit more simple, but there's specific words that we use, which is telling us exactly what's going on and what they're doing. Yet we don't have ears to hear and eyes to see if we're not picking up on these things. And we should be picking up on these things. You should be retraining your brain when it comes to words like magic, one, love. Now, these are things I'm constantly talking about because there's laws at work here. All of this stuff is to be revealed to us, and it is being revealed. Prophecy is being fulfilled. The problem is that they're not playing this game fair that they've created. You see, they're revealing themselves, but through cleverness, deceit, lies. And by cleverness, I don't mean that they're clever and we should give them credit. I mean, they've just figured out through these false idols, through the television, through the education systems, how to warp how the brain perceives and picks up on words and symbols. Now, I always talk about symbols, which how ironic, right? I have a whole playlist on almost every symbol you could think of, from the phoenix rising to the obelisk, to the 666 hand sign, to the peace sign, what all these really mean. Because these are symbols that people use in day-to-day life. They don't know what it really means because they've been told it means one thing, when it means something else. When celebrities hold up the peace sign or do the shh over their mouth, you could probably find a million photos of celebrity putting their finger over their mouth. That's the vow of silence. This is the oath of silence that they've taken to keep these things secret, to keep the occult secret. They're showing us this every day through repetition. We just don't pick up on it. And one of those things that we don't pick up on that we use in day-to-day life that they've completely flipped on its head is the word sacrifice. What do you think of when you hear sacrifice? Well, how many times have you heard about somebody who becomes successful talking about sacrifice? Right? Well, I sacrificed so much to get to this point. And you think to yourself, boy, they sacrificed. As if, oh, yeah, they gave up so much in their life. They forfeited things and, they just, all of their time, they sacrificed their family and these things. Well, guess what? Literally, that is what is going on. Because we know that sacrifice, as in the definition of sacrifice, an act of slaughtering an animal or person or surrendering a possession as an offering to God or to a divine or supernatural figure. Now, they believe in sacrificial offerings to Satan. Us as Christians, now that Jesus Christ has come and died for our sins, the only sacrifice the Lord demands is a repentant heart. Not the sacrificing of blood. But this is a word that we constantly hear. Athletes talking about sacrifice. Actors, musicians talking about the struggle and the sacrifice. Oh, the sacrifice, right? And this is a dual flip in your mind. This is them exposing themselves to you because they have to. This is prophecy. This has to be revealed. The problem is that we're not picking up on it because our brains have been deceived. Our brains have been taught to think one way. So we're not thinking about any of this stuff that's being shown right in front of our faces. I talked about magic, remember? Magic Kingdom, magic of Disney. When two people fall in love, it was like magic. When something works out well, it was magical, I tell you. a good date, magical, right? They've worked that word into people's heads to think it means one thing when it doesn't. The definition of magic, the power of apparently influencing the course of events by using mysterious or supernatural forces used in magic or working by magic, having or apparently supernatural powers. But what do we think of? Excitement, magic, excitement. This is how they get away with stuff in front of our faces. This is how we have such a dumbed down society. If people would realize this stuff and start thinking, realizing the dual meanings, the symbols, right? The A-OK sign. What do you think it means when Bono and all of these low-life celebrities are on magazine covers holding up the 666 over their eyeball? Do you think that means that they're saying it's A-OK? Now we know the eyeball is a symbol of the occult of Satanism, the eyeball, the all-seeing eye. We see it everywhere. We see the pyramid everywhere, dollar bill, you name it. They're holding the 666 over their eye because that is the eye of Lucifer. But what do they tell us it's supposed to mean? A-OK. How about the devil horns? Do you think it's a coincidence that the devil horns in sign language means love? Of course not. All one would have to do is snap out of this trained robotical thinking that they've put us in and realize that the symbols and the signs are everywhere. They're on buildings. They have common people flashing it up day after day, not knowing what it means. But again, think about how the Bible discusses this. How they were sacrificing their firstborn and sacrificing their children of Baal. And how God forbid that from happening. Now we look at sacrifice as if somebody's doing his free time so he can lift weights and become an athlete. That's not what they're telling you. They're telling you flat out how these people get there, because it's always the people who are rich and successful who use that trigger word. It's a trigger word. Magic is a trigger word. One is a trigger word. Love is a trigger word. These are all words used during this psychological operation that we're living in. They're constantly revealing it, right? Love, over and over and over. All the celebrities preaching about love. Because the Antichrist comes in the name of peace and love. People will be clamoring for it, right? Scripture tells us. They'll be begging for it, begging for peace. It's all prophecy being fulfilled. But just remember, I wanted to do a refresher for people, especially if you're young. Understand that these are words that we hear, and then our brains don't even process it. There's somebody on TV talking about sacrifice, and if you know the definition of sacrifice, I mean, sacrifice, that's literally the definition. Open a dictionary. The act of slaughtering an animal or person or surrendering a possession as an offering to God. And these people are going, oh, I sacrifice that. And people will say, well, that's not what they mean. They mean they gave up something valued, for the sake of something else. Or listen, if you're awake and you're a Christian, these are things you should know. Because everything that you see and hear them say is being revealed. They're doing it themselves. God tells us that all this stuff will be revealed. And we have song after song, just like magic, called Sacrifice. Elton John, Sacrifice. Creed, Sacrifice. Dolly Parton even has a song, Sacrifice. Drake, Sacrifice. Big Sean, I think his name is, Sacrifice. Just like magic, right? The list, I did hundreds of songs called Magic. Do you believe in magic? Frank Sinatra, Crazy Little Magic, right? Black Magic Woman, magic, magic, magic. When you reveal when you pull yourself out of this, everything that God says is going to be revealed is being revealed right now. It's just a question of, are you perceiving it? Are you on the level of being able to see that? Because these people are openly telling us this stuff. They need dual meanings to words because they're deceivers and they're liars. And this is how they keep people asleep. This is why guys like me go crazy when we see them flashing the 666 all the time, and people think it means A-OK. You know? Because all you got to do is sit there and go, oh, okay, so they're doing a photo shoot on the cover of Vogue, and the guy goes, hey, give the A-OK sign. Right? And then the next celebrity comes in, they go, hey, do the A-OK sign. And they go, okay, is this original? Didn't Bono just do this last month? And then Leonardo DiCaprio and Johnny Depp? Yeah. I just want people to know everything's to be okay. I just love A-OKs. Okay. I love A-OKs too. Let's do it. Right? The repetition of seeing that symbol flash on these magazines that are such prominent magazines. Don't you think the guy who takes the pictures, the photographer, is probably making a couple million a year, who's obviously in the occult, because these photographers, the occult is loaded with photographers and videographers, loaded with it. And off the top of my head, I can't think of the one guy's name. But most of these guys, are involved in filming and recording the smut and taking these pictures of people and blackmailing people with the photos. They're very high-ranking, photographers. These are the same people who work for Vogue and work for all these magazines. So don't you think if say you or me or any regular person was hired to take pictures, wouldn't you say, boy, I got to think of something creative? Because that's what they tell us it is, right? Art and all this stuff is creativity. So wouldn't they say, hey, didn't Johnny Depp already do the A-OK sign on a cover? Shouldn't we do something else? Or the A-OK over the eye? I mean, look at the montage of photos that are all identical. These are all on massive magazine covers. This isn't like a photo shoot in a garage here. But it's on these publications for a reason. These are the most viewed. And the reason that they're all doing it is because they're telling you and telling one another that they're a part of it. And it's so obvious that people should go, all right, something's up here. There's too many people flashing the same stuff. But they'll tell you it means something different. It means A-OK. And all you should be able to do is just go, hey, you're telling me that this guy, these photographers just kept wanting to use the same sign over and over. Nobody wanted to be creative. Aren't these people supposed to be creative and visionaries and all this stuff? It's there by design. And that's why these words are being used and people aren't seeing it. So from now on, I hope when you listen and you watch and you see what's going on in the Matrix, if you're somebody who still watches it and sees it and knows it's a lie, you're not completely shut away from it. Listen for these words. Listen for sacrifice. You'll hear it in almost every TV show. Every interview with a celebrity, they'll mention sacrifice. They had to sacrifice something. That's because they did have to sacrifice something. They sacrificed their souls, and the majority of them, if not all, I should just say all because they all do, sacrificed a loved one. Because that's the ultimate sacrifice for these people that get in. Somebody close to them. Doesn't matter, blood relative, a cousin. That's how it works. They let you know that they committed the sacrifice to get in. It shows you how dumbed down of a society we live in, though, because we hear that and we go, oh, man. And all I have to do is sacrifice, and I could be the next LeBron James. All I got to do, instead of shooting the basketball into the hoop for 4 hours a day, is do it for 8 hours a day. And then the other 4 hours, I'll sacrifice dinner and hanging out with my parents, huh? They want you to think it means stupid, pointless stuff like that. So just remember this when you see these words, when you hear them say it, that it's being revealed, right? The occult is being revealed. Magic, sacrifice, love, one. The list goes on of trigger words, Right? We already know they use conspiracy theory and fake news as trigger words to deflect. Well, these are trigger words that they use. They tell you who they are and what they're a part of. But sadly, our brains have been trained not to pick up on this because they're deceivers. So it's definitely something that's very important. And if you want to help wake people up, point some of these words out. Just say, well, listen to how many people say this stuff. Tell me it's a coincidence. Look at this magazine cover. How many people are flashing the same repetitive symbol? Why are they if they're supposed to be artistic and creative? You're telling me that means all of these people think it's A-okay, that this isn't some type of hidden occult symbol that they're showing us, putting it over their eyeball? You know, it's a little weird, a little strange. Keep an eye out for these things. Think, listen, be aware. Okay, because you'll start waking up at a faster pace when you're thinking on this type of a level. And it's an easy level to think on. This isn't some type of rocket science I'm pushing here. I'm sure some of you heard this one. Oh, yeah, they do say that. Oh, that makes sense because they do commit sacrifice. Exactly. Exactly. Little things like that will take you a long way down your awakening. Because the more you listen, the more you see, the more you'll just be like, wow, Bible prophecy not just being fulfilled, but I mean,